I made a video about achieving our goals recently, and I'll put a link to it somewhere. And in that video, I talked about what it takes for us to actually create a goal and how you can actually get there. And that's something that I think is going to be helpful for people, but doesn't really cover the entire picture. What we really need though is to understand, what it takes to get us there. So this is something that I think typically what we think is going to be the case. We are at point A. This is where we currently are. And we all have grand visions and dreams of the future, and we want to get to that. So I'm going to put that as point B. And obviously, what we want to do is to get from where we are to where we want to be. So typically, this is what we think will happen. Unfortunately, that is never going to be the case. I can almost guarantee you that the path is going to be ups and downs, lots of zigzags, sometimes even with a U-turn. But eventually, you do find yourself getting to B. Now, setting clear goals, creating a real timeline and roadmaps and milestones so that we can actually get to point B is great. It is necessary, but one of the more important aspects of getting to goals is a concept that I don't think people understand enough. And that is the concept of sacrifice. And this is something that I think isn't really well understood by a lot of people. Back then, when I first started my business, Vodian, I started it when I was 17 years old as a student in school. I don't know about what kind of student you are, but typically, what happens as a student is that we get filled with lots of distractions. And these are all things that all students want to do, I feel, at least for me. And this is something that, happens all the time. So these are all known as fun stuff. Things that we actually really want to do. I'm talking about, for me, a big part was video games. And I love video games. One of the games that I used to play a lot of was Counter-Strike. And I started when I think Counter-Strike just came out. It was probably 1.2 or something. Right now I know there's Counter-Strike Go, but there was 1.1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, and so on. And then you went to Counter-Strike Go. So video games was something that I absolutely loved doing. I loved hanging out, right, with friends. And this is something that I guess everybody does. I'm going to put family as well because family is important, and we enjoy spending time with family as well. So those are all things that require our time, our attention. These are things that we specifically say, hey, Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening is where I'm going to spend time with my friends and family. It will happen on maybe Tuesday, and on Thursday maybe we'll be going for a dinner together with friends. All those are all fun stuff. You could also be pursuing hobbies. And everybody has hobbies, whether it's pottery, whether it's drawing, whether it's any form of art, or any other fun hobbies that you might have. These all require time. Not just the time that you take to do the hobby, but the time before to do research, the time after where you think about it, or you start thinking about the next thing that you want to do. All that requires time. I'm also talking about sports. And sports, well, they have a lot of benefits. I mean, there's health benefits as well. You get fitter, you improve your cardiovascular health, you improve your eye-hand coordination. Maybe there's team building or social aspects to sports as well. And all those are good stuff, right? And that's something that I want to spend time on. Of course, there's also TV and movies. Everybody, or at least most of the people that I know, like watching TV shows and watching movies. Who doesn't? It's a nice escape. You have like 1, 2, 3 hours where you just spend time watching a story unfold, whether the genre you like is horror, comedy, action, thrillers, anything, right? Those are all fun things that we like to do. The problem comes though when we say that we want to have a goal that we absolutely want to achieve. When we want to do that, suddenly the two things that we look at are time and attention. And these are the resources that we have. If you think of resources as units that we have, everybody has 24 hours in a day. Everybody has a limited amount of attention, and attention is limited and scarce because we don't have the energy, we don't have the ability to have too much on our plates. And so these are our resources. I mean, there are other resources that are available, like money, for example, and all these are important. But like, I want to focus on time and attention right now. In order to achieve our goals, we have to understand what is it that we want to give up. And that is what it means by sacrifice. Sacrifice doesn't mean giving up things that you would already want to give up anyway, or things that you are not doing anyway. That's not a sacrifice. Sacrifice really refers to all the stuff that we want to do, we think is good for us, we think is going to be a positive on our lives, but yet we choose not to do. And that is a sacrifice, and that is something that we need to make in order to get to the goals that we want. When I was growing Voliant, I think that was something that was tremendously essential in my journey. As a student, I had all these fun stuff that I wanted to do, but I knew that one of my main goals was to create a successful business. I knew it had to be done because my family depended on me for that. I depended on myself for that. I had no other way. Well, I had other means, but that was the only viable mean of me making an income, of creating a business that could actually sustain myself financially. Not just myself, but my family as well. So in order to get the time and the attention necessary to grow my business, I had to make the sacrifices on the things that were important to me. Things like playing video games as a kid, hanging out with friends, maybe going out to clubs, playing sports, my other hobbies, TV and movie shows, they all had to cut out. And every single one of them was difficult. It was difficult because your friends would be asking you to join them, because you wanted to be with your classmates, you wanted to hang out and see your family. You have to choose to say no. You have to choose to say, I don't have the time. You have to say, I have priorities that I want to work on. And that's why the concept of work-life balance is a little unrealistic, in my opinion. We have to make sure that we know what the goals that we have are, so that we can make the sacrifices that will get us there. And this is what this means. Everything in the middle here requires us to have the time and attention to work on. And if we are spending our time, if our calendar is filled with activities that take up our attention, take up our time, we won't have the ability to get from point A to point B. I started my business when I was 17, and the sacrifices that I made were the sacrifices that a 17-year-old or a typical 17-year-old had to go through. But this applies to whatever stage of life you're at. Whether you're a student like myself, whether you don't have school, but you have other things that you have on your plate as well. Whether you have a family, whether you have a job, whatever it is, we have to understand, if we want to start a business, we have to make the sacrifices that are necessary, and these are going to be painful. So I'd like to challenge you on that. I'd like to challenge you, especially if you're not hitting the goals that you want, to really, really ask yourself if this is something that you truly want in your life. If it is, then you need to understand what sacrifices you have to make. You have to understand that you have to say no to a lot of things, and you have to be prepared mentally to actually do that. I will start with a list. I'll start with something small, Maybe start with just 1 or 2 items that you know you absolutely love but are taking up your time and attention, and actively making a commitment to say you're going to cut it out. You're going to say no. You're going to limit yourself to maybe only taking part in those activities once in a very long while. You won't be able to do that every week. You won't be able to do that every fortnight. You have to be able to say no to those things so that you can spend time and attention on the goals that are important to you and that matter to you. So hopefully this helps you, show you a glimpse of what it takes to actually reach the goals that we have to move from point A to point B. If this is helpful, let me know. If this is something that jogs something in your mind or inspires you to do something about the sacrifices that you have to make, let me know in the comments down below. I love to hear from you. And once again, please like, comment, share, subscribe to this channel. Especially smash that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already, so that you'll be notified of any new videos that I put out. Till then, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.